Have you ever noticed how, in the midst of our greatest technological triumphs, there remains a persistent shadow of human suffering? We have phones that can summon the world to our fingertips, rockets that can pierce the sky and touch the void between planets, yet still, anxiety, isolation, and inner confusion pervade the lives of billions. It is a paradox that humbles even the most ambitious minds. We can understand the birth of stars, yet we struggle to understand ourselves. We can calculate the orbit of distant planets with exquisite precision, yet the orbit of our own thoughts often feels chaotic, unpredictable, and beyond our control. This paradox is where spiritual awakening begins, not in the outer universe, but in the inner cosmos. And like the universe itself, awakening is not a linear process. It is turbulent, expansive, and at times terrifyingly vast. It can lift us to heights of clarity and insight, only to drop us into abysses of uncertainty, exposing truths about ourselves and the world that we may not be prepared to confront. Today, I want to talk about the 5 negative consequences of spiritual awakening that no one ever warns you about. These are not mystical hazards or warnings designed to frighten. They are the realities that accompany any profound journey into self-awareness. They are cosmic truths mirrored in our human experience. Isolation, emotional turbulence, disorientation, strained relationships, and the overwhelming responsibility of choice. And yet, as we navigate these consequences, we discover that each is a gateway to deeper understanding. Much like a black hole is not merely a void, but a crucible where matter and energy are transformed in ways that challenge our comprehension. Isolation is the first consequence. Imagine standing on the surface of a remote exoplanet, gazing into the void of space. The stars are magnificent, illuminating the infinite, yet the loneliness is palpable. Awakening carries a similar solitude. Your thoughts sharpen, your perceptions deepen, and suddenly, the casual conversations and habitual distractions of everyday life feel hollow. You seek connection, yet find that those around you cannot comprehend the depths to which your consciousness has expanded. There is no guidebook for this journey. No one can traverse it for you. And yet, in this solitude, there is a peculiar clarity, a space where your mind begins to understand patterns, both cosmic and personal, that were invisible before. Second comes emotional turbulence. Awakening often unearths shadows hidden beneath layers of conditioned behavior and societal expectation. It is as if your nervous system becomes a telescope pointed inward, revealing the vast galaxies of your own unresolved fears, anxieties, and grief. The emotional spectrum can swing from exhilarating awe to crushing despair. You may find yourself laughing at the absurdity of existence one moment and feeling an inexplicable sorrow the next. Much like observing the birth of a star, the energy is immense, beautiful, and chaotic all at once. Yet, just as astronomers study supernovae to understand the life cycles of stars, we learn to study our own emotional upheavals as sources of profound insight and growth. The third consequence is disorientation. When old beliefs dissolve under the light of new awareness, the map you once relied upon vanishes. The cosmos itself is a model. Planetary orbits are predictable. Stars follow life cycles. But the quantum world below them is probabilistic, uncertain, and counterintuitive. Spiritual awakening introduces us to the quantum mechanics of our own consciousness, where nothing is fixed and every assumption can be upended. You may question everything: societal norms, personal identity, even the nature of reality itself. This disorientation is frightening because it mirrors the universe's vast unknowns, those regions beyond observation, where the rules of physics as we know them break down. But it is also exhilarating, for it is here, in uncertainty, that true discovery is possible. Fourth is the strain placed on relationships. Awakening shifts your frequency, like a star whose radiation changes as it evolves. Those who cannot attune to your new wavelength may drift away. Friends may struggle to understand the subtlety of your insights. Family may resist the shifts in your values or priorities. You may feel alienated in ways you never expected. And yet, This is not punishment, it is a natural consequence of growth. The universe itself reshuffles matter, creating new constellations while letting old ones fade. So too must we navigate our social cosmos, finding those whose energies resonate with ours, forming bonds of authenticity rather than obligation. Finally, awakening introduces the weight of responsibility. When you see more clearly, you can no longer ignore truths about yourself, your society, and your planet. Awareness becomes an ethical compass, demanding action. It is the gravity of consciousness. Once you feel it, you cannot simply float aimlessly. You are compelled to align your actions with the insights you have gained, to reconcile personal growth with the interconnectedness of all things. The cosmos operates on principles of cause and effect. So too does conscious life. To awaken without acting is to ignore the very laws that govern both our inner and outer worlds. And yet, despite these consequences, there is a profound reason for optimism. For every shadow revealed, there is a light that becomes more vivid. For every orbit of confusion, there is a trajectory toward clarity. Spiritual awakening, like the universe, is not comfortable, but it is magnificent in its vastness. Each consequence we face, loneliness, emotional storms, disorientation, relational friction, ethical weight, is a star forming in the dark vacuum of our inner cosmos, a signal of transformation taking place at scales we are only beginning to comprehend. So what does it mean to navigate these consequences responsibly? It means cultivating practices that anchor us. Mindful reflection, honest dialogue, scientific and philosophical inquiry, and deep connection with kindred spirits. It means embracing curiosity with humility, laughing at the absurdity of existence while remaining reverent of its mysteries. It means taking action that harmonizes with both our personal truths and our shared reality. In other words, it means living consciously as a participant in a universe far larger and more complex than we often acknowledge. By facing the negative consequences of awakening, we are not weakened, we are strengthened. We learn to map the inner universe with the same rigor and wonder as we chart the stars above. We recognize that our own consciousness is as mysterious and as valuable as any celestial body. And we begin to see ourselves not as isolated points of awareness, but as integral parts of a vast, interconnected cosmic tapestry. And so we begin to understand that spiritual awakening is not a luxury. It is not a momentary glimpse of clarity, like the flash of a meteor across the night sky. No, it is a process that transforms the very coordinates of our internal universe. And like the universe itself, this process is neither simple nor convenient. It comes with consequences, often inconvenient truths that we are rarely prepared to face. Isolation, that first piercing consequence. It's not just being alone, it is the awareness of being fundamentally, existentially alone, even amidst a crowd. Imagine standing on the edge of the cosmos, looking out across the vast emptiness between galaxies. The beauty is undeniable, the perspective humbling, and yet there is no one else there. That is what awakening does. It lifts you out of the gravitational pull of familiar patterns, exposing you to the cold expanse of thought, perception, and reflection. And in that exposure, you realize something vital. You cannot outsource this journey. No one can experience it for you. You are both the observer and the observed. You are the star and the vacuum around it. But this isolation is also the crucible of clarity. It teaches you to discern between the noise of social expectation and the resonance of your own truth. It forces you to become comfortable with yourself, and in that comfort, you discover a quiet form of power. Power not over others, but over yourself, the ability to navigate your inner cosmos without external validation. And yet, as isolation deepens, so too does emotional turbulence. Awakening is like being exposed to the cosmic rays of your own consciousness. The intensity of light and heat can illuminate the unseen, but it can also burn. Old fears rise like supernovae, scattering fragments of unresolved pain and hidden grief into every corner of your mind. Anxiety may flare unexpectedly. Joy may arrive with shocking intensity. Sadness may descend like a gravitational well, pulling at your heart. You experience the full spectrum of emotional physics, where energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. And as you witness this, you begin to understand something profound. Every emotional upheaval is a signal. It is the universe within you recalibrating, like a planet settling into a new orbit after collision. These emotional storms are not signs of weakness, they're indicators of transformation. Then comes disorientation. Imagine navigating a universe governed by invisible forces, a cosmos in which the predictable paths of planets are suddenly altered by unseen phenomena. Old frameworks dissolve. Beliefs that once felt solid, identities once taken for granted, suddenly reveal themselves as provisional constructs. Everything you knew about yourself and the world seems uncertain, and an island awakening dissolves the comforting illusion of permanence, replacing it with the dynamic, unpredictable dance of existence. You are, in effect, witnessing the quantum mechanics of your own consciousness, a system in flux, probabilities replacing certainties, and every choice a perturbation in the field of reality. Disorientation is disconcerting, yes, but it is also liberating. It invites you to question, to explore, to expand. It teaches that stability is not a fixed point, but a practiced equilibrium. Like an astronaut in zero gravity, you learn to navigate not by clinging, but by understanding the forces at play and adjusting with precision and care. Next is the strain on relationships. Spiritual awakening changes your internal frequency. Your thoughts vibrate at a different wavelength than before, often creating dissonance with those around you. Conversations may feel shallow. Friends may misunderstand your insights. Family may resist the new version of you emerging from the chrysalis of awareness. This is a painful but natural consequence, echoing the cosmic principle of energy conservation. Just as stars exchange energy and reshape their environments, you too must recalibrate the energy within your social sphere. You cannot force resonance where it does not exist, and attempting to do so can lead to entropy in your relationships. The solution is not isolation, but discernment, cultivating bonds that align with your growth while letting go of those that constrain it. Finally, there is the weight of responsibility. To awaken is to witness. To witness is to acknowledge, and to acknowledge is to act. Awareness is not a spectator sport. It carries the obligation to consider the consequences of your choices, not just on yourself, but on the intricate web of life that stretches across the planet and beyond. Imagine the Earth as a spaceship in orbit, a fragile vessel of life spinning through the void. Your awareness is the control panel, your actions, the switches that affect the trajectory. Awakening without responsibility is like holding the power of a star without understanding its fusion. And yet, with responsibility comes empowerment. Every informed decision, every act of compassion, every effort to illuminate ignorance becomes a ripple in the cosmic sea. And herein lies the beauty. These consequences, isolated contemplation, emotional turbulence, disorientation, relational strain, and ethical weight, are not punishments. They are the byproducts of awakening's immense power. They are the shadows cast by the light of self-knowledge. And if you navigate them with curiosity, courage, and integrity, they become the very scaffolding of transformation. They are, in essence, the dark matter of the soul, invisible yet essential, holding together the galaxies of consciousness that will eventually shine with unparalleled clarity. So, how do we navigate this vast inner universe? How do we ensure that the awakening we experience translates into a life of purpose and connection rather than despair and isolation? The answer lies in practice, reflection, and community. Like astronomers who cross-reference observations, refine instruments, and collaborate with peers, we too must cultivate habits that illuminate our internal cosmos. Mindfulness to observe without judgment, dialogue to expand our perspectives, study to anchor our understanding, and relationships to ground our humanity. Awakening is not a solitary act, it is a relational phenomenon. Just as stars exist within galaxies, bound together by gravity and energy, so too do humans thrive within a network of connection. Individual insight finds its fullest expression not in isolation, but in the ways it informs, inspires, and uplifts the collective consciousness. And as we step back and take a cosmic perspective, it becomes clear. Our lives are finite, yes, but they are also profoundly significant. The atoms that compose your body were forged in ancient stars. The elements of your consciousness resonate with the same laws that govern the expansion of galaxies. Your awareness is not separate from the universe, it is a microcosm of it. To awaken is to recognize that you are both infinitesimal and immense, a single node in the network of existence, and simultaneously a reflection of the cosmos itself. So here is the invitation. Face the negative consequences of awakening not with fear, but with reverence. Embrace isolation as a laboratory of insight. Harness emotional turbulence as a generator of wisdom. Navigate disorientation as a mapless exploration of your own quantum self. Recalibrate relationships to foster resonance rather than friction. And bear the responsibility of awareness as a guiding force toward meaningful action. In doing so, you align your life not just with personal growth, but with the rhythm of the universe itself. You become a participant in a cosmic story that stretches from the first light of the Big Bang to the distant future of galaxies yet unborn. And in that story, your choices matter. Your awareness matters. Your actions matter. The universe is indifferent, yes, but in that indifference lies freedom. Freedom to explore, to create, to transform, to connect. Spiritual awakening, with all its shadows and challenges, is your invitation to step fully into that freedom, to take your place as both observer and participant in the grandest experiment of all, conscious life in an expanding cosmos. So, as you move forward, let this truth guide you. The journey will not be easy. It will demand everything of you, from your courage to your empathy, from your intellect to your humility, but it will also reward you with the rarest of gifts. A life lived in alignment with truth, illuminated by understanding, and imbued with the profound knowledge that you are, in every atom and thought, a child of the cosmos, a steward of consciousness, and an architect of meaning in an otherwise indifferent universe. And in that awareness, there is both challenge and celebration, both gravity and lift, both isolation and connection. There is life in its vast, intricate, luminous, and terrifying beauty, and it is yours to navigate. And yet, even as we navigate the vastness of our inner cosmos, we must confront an uncomfortable truth. Spiritual awakening is not a shield. It does not insulate us from suffering, from the inequities of the world, or from the persistent noise of human existence. In fact, sometimes awakening sharpens our perception of those very things. Suddenly, we cannot ignore the suffering of others. We feel with a clarity that is both gift and burden the magnitude of human pain, hunger, oppression, violence, environmental collapse, all of it rippling through our shared existence like gravitational waves through space-time. And here lies one of awakening's greatest paradoxes. The deeper our consciousness grows, the more acutely we perceive the fragility of life. We recognize that our choices, small and seemingly insignificant, have consequences that echo outward, touching the lives of strangers across continents, even the unseen lives of creatures we will never meet. This is not a call to despair, it is a call to responsibility. If we awaken to the realities of the world around us, then our actions must reflect that awareness. Each decision becomes a node in a network, each act a pulse in the cosmic web. Isolation, emotional turbulence, disorientation, strained relationships, and the weight of responsibility. These are not merely consequences to endure. They are invitations to maturity, to a higher form of engagement with the universe and with life itself. Consider the isolation that often accompanies awakening. Viewed through the lens of astrophysics, it is akin to standing on a planet at the edge of a solar system, looking outward at the infinity of space. You are alone, yes, but you are also in the perfect position to observe, to analyze, to understand the patterns that govern the cosmos. It is solitude that sharpens insight, that allows you to see the gravitational forces shaping your internal universe with unprecedented clarity. Emotional turbulence, too, has its place. It is the storm before the equilibrium, the turbulence before the orbit stabilizes. Like a star undergoing fusion, You must endure immense pressure before your own light becomes sustainable, before your energy radiates into the world in a balanced and illuminating way. Anxiety, fear, sadness, they are not failures. They are evidence of transformation at work. They are the alchemy of consciousness, converting raw emotional matter into wisdom, empathy, and resilience. Disorientation, that vertigo of the awakened mind, is perhaps the most challenging. But remember this, the universe itself is dynamic. Galaxies collide, stars are born and die, planets shift their orbits, and yet the cosmos continues its dance in astonishing harmony. So too does your internal universe. What feels like chaos is, in reality, recalibration. Your old models of understanding are being dismantled to make way for new, more accurate frameworks. Embrace it, learn from it, navigate it with curiosity rather than fear, knowing that every question you pose to the universe of your mind is a star being born in the night sky of your consciousness. Strained relationships, painful as they may be, are no less universal. They reflect the reality that awakening disrupts equilibrium not only within us, but in the gravitational fields of the people around us. Some will orbit closer, others will drift away, and yet this is natural. Just as celestial bodies find new orbits after cosmic events, so too must we recalibrate the networks of our lives. To demand that others adjust to your awakening on your timetable is as unreasonable as expecting planets to halt their rotation because a star has shifted position. Patience, empathy, and clear communication are your tools here. Tools that allow relationships to evolve rather than fracture, to grow rather than wither. And the final consequence, perhaps the heaviest, is responsibility. Awakening bestows perspective, and perspective confers choice. You now see patterns and connections that were invisible before. And with that clarity comes the imperative to act not recklessly, not out of guilt, but thoughtfully, deliberately, and with an awareness of the consequences. You are, in a very real sense, a microcosm of the universe, a singular point of consciousness capable of influencing the trajectory of countless lives. Just as a comet leaves a visible trail across the night sky, your choices leave ripples in the vast ocean of existence. To awaken and do nothing is to disregard the gifts the universe has bestowed upon you. So what does it all add up to? It adds up to a life that is never simple, never linear, never entirely predictable. But it also adds up to a life that is profoundly real, deeply interconnected, and immeasurably consequential. In facing the negative consequences of awakening, we are invited to step into a role that is at once humbling and empowering. The role of participant in the unfolding story of the cosmos, the living embodiment of awareness, and the agent of change. And here is the truth. Awakening does not promise comfort. It promises clarity. It does not promise ease. It promises insight. It does not promise consensus. It promises authenticity. And that, in the end, is a far more powerful legacy than the transient approval of others or the fleeting comforts of a life lived unexamined. So, if you find yourself teetering on the edge of awareness, uncertain of the path forward, take solace in this. You are not alone. Every star, every planet, every atom in the universe has endured turbulence, disorientation, and strain. And yet, here we are, complex, radiant, conscious, and so are you. Step into the journey with curiosity, with courage, and with compassion. Explore the shadowy corridors of your mind, the vast reaches of your heart, and the infinite possibilities of your life. Embrace the paradoxes, the discomforts, and the responsibilities, knowing that in doing so, you are contributing to a story that spans both human and cosmic scales, a story in which your awakening illuminates not just your own path, but the paths of countless others. And as you move forward, remember this: the universe is vast, indifferent, and astonishing. It does not pause for us. But within that indifference lies freedom, the freedom to observe, to understand, to create, and to act. And awakening, with all its challenges, is the invitation to claim that freedom fully, deliberately, and with a sense of wonder that is equal parts humility and exhilaration. Your journey is not just yours, it is part of a grand, unfolding, interconnected whole. Each insight you gain, each challenge you overcome, each act of responsibility you undertake contributes to the fabric of life itself. And that, perhaps, is the most profound consequence of all. Spiritual awakening transforms not just the individual, but the universe they inhabit. So step forward, embrace the consequences, harness the turbulence, recalibrate your orbit, illuminate the darkness, and in doing so, become not just a witness to the cosmos, but an active participant in its eternal dance. Because in the end, the universe does not need you to awaken, but humanity does. And when you do awaken, the light you shine has the power to transform everything it touches. And yet, if awakening is a journey into the cosmic unknown, it is also a mirror reflecting the universe inside of us. Consider this: every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star. You are quite literally stardust contemplating itself. And when we awaken spiritually, it's as if that stardust begins to vibrate with consciousness, recognizing patterns and connections invisible to the untrained eye. You begin to see not only the machinery of your own mind, but the intricate web of existence linking you to every living being, every ecosystem, every pulse of energy in the cosmos. But here's the catch: recognition is not resolution. Awareness of interconnectedness does not automatically translate into harmony. We now see the suffering of others, the damage humanity inflicts upon itself and the planet, the injustice that simmers quietly beneath the surface of civilization. And we ask ourselves, what do I do with this knowledge? How do I act in a world so vast that any single action feels inconsequential? The answer is deceptively simple, yet profoundly difficult. Act with clarity, compassion, and courage, knowing that even the smallest gesture can ripple outward in ways we may never measure. Think of it like gravity. A planet's orbit is shaped by countless unseen forces, distant stars, neighboring planets, the faint tug of a passing comet. None of these forces operate in isolation, and yet together they create an elegant cosmic dance. So it is with our actions. Every decision, every choice, every act of kindness or insight influences the orbits of others in subtle but meaningful ways. And while we may never fully see the impact of our awakening, the universe silent, indifferent, and vast records it all. But let's return for a moment to the human dimension, because awakening is not only cosmic, it is profoundly personal. You will encounter moments of doubt, periods of exhaustion, times when the weight of understanding feels unbearable. These are the negative consequences: the isolation, the disorientation, the emotional turbulence, the strain on relationships, the burden of responsibility. And yet, paradoxically, they are the very crucibles that forge resilience. They are the meteor showers through which our inner star is born, the dark matter shaping the luminous core of our consciousness. Isolation teaches us observation. It grants perspective. Emotional turbulence teaches us empathy. It makes us attuned to the suffering and joy of others, finely calibrated instruments in the symphony of life. Disorientation teaches us humility, reminding us that our models, whether of the universe or of the self, are never complete, always evolving. Strained relationships teach us discernment, guiding us to nurture bonds that uplift and release those that hinder. Responsibility teaches us courage, compelling us to act in alignment with our awareness, no matter how daunting the scope of the challenge. And through it all, a subtle but powerful realization emerges. Awakening is not about escaping the world, but about engaging with it more fully. It is not about attaining comfort or certainty, but about embracing complexity with curiosity and integrity. It is not a retreat into solitude, but a call to participate, to illuminate, to contribute. Now, imagine a single photon of light traveling across the universe, billions of years old, passing through galaxies and cosmic dust, unaffected by time, yet eventually reaching your eye. That light, having endured unimaginable distances and obstacles, carries with it information, energy, insight. So too does spiritual awakening. It is a journey of immense distance and challenge. Yet when fully realized, it allows us to perceive truth with clarity, to act with purpose, and to illuminate the lives of those around us. And this is where we arrive at the most profound truth of all. Awakening, despite its trials, offers an unparalleled gift, the gift of agency. When you awaken, you are no longer a passive observer. You are a participant in the unfolding narrative of life, capable of making choices that matter, capable of shaping reality with intention. Every thought, every act, every interaction becomes a vector through which the cosmos itself might be nudged ever so slightly toward coherence, compassion, and understanding. So, as we navigate the consequences, both daunting and inspiring, remember this: the universe is vast, ancient, and indifferent. Yet it has entrusted us with consciousness. With awareness comes choice. With choice comes responsibility. And with responsibility comes the possibility of transformation, not only for ourselves, but for the collective human story. Step into this awakening not as a victim of its challenges, but as a navigator of its mysteries. Embrace the turbulence, the isolation, the emotional storms, and the fractured relationships, knowing that each is a teacher. Look upon the world with eyes wide open, attuned to both its beauty and its suffering, and act with intention, informed by the cosmic and human truths you now perceive. Because in the final analysis, the journey of spiritual awakening mirrors the journey of the universe itself: expansion, transformation, and the relentless pursuit of balance. You are, quite literally, a microcosm of this cosmic drama, a node of consciousness in an unfolding universe. And how you navigate this journey matters, not just to you, but to the world and perhaps to the cosmos itself. Awaken fully, act wisely, love deeply, and carry forward the light of understanding into every orbit you touch. For in doing so, you are not only living a life of awareness, you are contributing to the evolution of life itself. And that, my friends, is the most profound consequence of all. And yet, while the universe gives us perspective, it also imposes humility. We may gaze at the stars and feel awe, yet we are confronted with our own smallness. The Milky Way alone contains over 100 billion stars, and each of those stars could host worlds of unimaginable complexity. And here we are, on a small blue planet, wrestling with our emotions, our relationships, our sense of purpose. The paradox is undeniable. We are both infinitesimal and infinite tiny collections of stardust, capable of consciousness, capable of love, capable of understanding. It is in this tension between our cosmic insignificance and our inner significance that the journey of spiritual awakening unfolds. Now, consider the negative consequences I've outlined: emotional turmoil, isolation, disorientation, strained relationships, and the weight of responsibility. These are not flaws or failures. They are the very signatures of evolution. When a star reaches the end of its life, it does not simply fade away. It explodes, it transforms, it disperses its matter into the cosmos so that new stars, new worlds, new life can form. Similarly, our challenges during awakening are not mere obstacles, they are transformative events, shaping the matter of our consciousness into something capable of greater clarity, empathy, and insight. And here is where human ingenuity meets cosmic reality. We are creatures who have learned to look beyond immediate survival, to decode the language of the universe in mathematics, in physics, in art. We have sent probes to distant planets, captured images of black holes, and sequenced the genetic code of life itself. And yet, the challenge of awakening, the challenge of navigating the inner universe, is perhaps the most complex endeavor of all, because it is not governed solely by the laws of physics, but by the interplay of consciousness, choice, and awareness. As you walk this path, the key is not to seek perfection. It is to embrace evolution, personal, spiritual, and collective. Each moment of awareness, each act of reflection, each choice made with integrity contributes to the unfolding story of the cosmos. You are not merely a passive observer of life's drama. You are an active participant, capable of generating ripples that extend beyond your perception, beyond your immediate surroundings, into the vast web of existence. And here is the beauty of it. The cosmos does not demand that you succeed perfectly. It only requires that you engage fully, that you observe, question, and act. that you confront your fears with courage, your doubts with curiosity, your suffering with compassion, that you learn to dance with uncertainty, to navigate the turbulence of your emotions, to communicate authentically, and to contribute meaningfully to the lives of others. The universe, in its immensity, offers both challenge and inspiration. It reminds us that life is finite, that time is precious, and that every conscious choice is significant. The stars, burning billions of years old, tell a story of endurance, transformation, and brilliance. And you, carrying the same stardust, have the opportunity to echo that story within your own sphere of influence. So as you move forward on this journey of awakening, I invite you to adopt a perspective simultaneously cosmic and personal. Ask yourself, how does my awareness shape the world around me? How can I transform isolation into insight, turmoil into empathy, disorientation into discovery? How can I take responsibility for my actions while embracing the shared responsibility we hold for one another and for the planet? And in answering these questions, you will find that the negative consequences of awakening, once perceived as burdens, become catalysts for growth. They sharpen your perception, deepen your compassion, and expand your capacity to act with wisdom. They are, in essence, the very mechanism by which consciousness evolves, both individually and collectively. Ultimately, the message is clear. Awakening is not a journey toward perfection, but toward clarity, responsibility, and connection. It is about recognizing that you are part of a vast, intricate web, that your choices matter, and that the universe, indifferent yet magnificent, has entrusted you with the privilege of consciousness. So stand firm in your awareness. Engage fully with the turbulence and beauty of your inner world. Reach outward with empathy and intention. And remember, even in the face of cosmic vastness, even amidst the challenges of awakening, your actions have weight, your consciousness has value, and your journey matters. In this dance between the infinitesimal and the infinite, between stardust and awareness, you are both participant and observer, navigator and explorer, student and teacher. Embrace the paradox. Revel in the complexity, and step boldly into the unfolding story of your life, because in doing so, you are contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. This is not merely a philosophical reflection, it is a call to action. It is an invitation to live with intention, to act with courage, and to awaken fully, not in isolation, but in connection with the cosmos and the human family. And as you carry this awareness forward, may you do so with the humility of one who knows the immensity of the universe, the responsibility of one who understands the weight of consciousness, and the hope of one who recognizes the potential for beauty, wisdom, and transformation in every moment. Because in the end, the universe does not ask us to be perfect, it asks us to engage, to observe, to act, to awaken. And in awakening, we honor both the cosmos from which we were born and the infinite potential within ourselves. And yet, even as we confront the vastness of space and the infinitude of time, it's essential to remember that the cosmos is not merely out there. It is within us. The very atoms that compose your body were forged in the heart of stars that lived and died billions of years ago. The oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, all once part of a star long extinct. You are not separate from the universe. You are a continuation of it, an echo of its long, tumultuous history. And if the universe has imbued you with stardust, it has also endowed you with awareness, curiosity, and the capacity to reflect. This reflection, the conscious ability to observe your thoughts, to examine your choices, to question your assumptions, is one of the rarest phenomena in the known cosmos. Among the billions of planets, the trillions of stars, it appears that only here, on this small blue planet, has matter become self-aware. And with that awareness comes both privilege and responsibility. Because to awaken is not merely to see, it is to act. It is to recognize that your consciousness carries weight not just in your own life, but in the lives of those around you and in the story of life itself. The negative consequences of spiritual awakening, the isolation, the emotional turbulence, the disorientation, the strained relationships, the pressure of responsibility, they are, in a sense, your training grounds. They are the crucibles in which your character is forged. Just as a star is compressed under gravity until it ignites, your challenges are compressions of circumstance designed to ignite the brilliance of your consciousness. You emerge not despite them, but because of them. And as you emerge, you gain the capacity to act with clarity, to connect with others authentically, and to shape the world in meaningful ways. Consider for a moment the story of the Voyager probes. Launched over 40 years ago, carrying with them the golden record, a message to the cosmos, an offering of human culture, music, and knowledge. These tiny machines traverse the cold, dark void, carrying the essence of humanity into interstellar space. In a way, each of us is like a Voyager probe, navigating the unknown, bearing the essence of our experiences, our growth, our consciousness into the vast expanse of existence. What we do, how we think, how we live, reverberates beyond ourselves. And here is the most beautiful part. The journey of awakening is never solitary, even in the moments it feels so. For every act of courage, every gesture of empathy, every choice made with intention ripples outward, touching lives in ways we may never perceive. The cosmos itself is a web of interaction, galaxies colliding, stars influencing one another through gravity, light traveling across millions of light years. So too does human consciousness influence itself and the world around it, creating a chain reaction of insight, growth, and connection. So, what does it mean to navigate these negative consequences consciously? First, it requires awareness. To recognize that fear, doubt, and disorientation are not signs of failure, but signals that transformation is occurring. Next, it requires courage, the courage to confront your shadows, to feel deeply, to sit with discomfort without running. And finally, it requires action to translate insight into engagement, compassion into deeds, awareness into responsibility. The universe does not reward passivity. It does not provide clarity without curiosity, or connection without effort. We are, as Carl Sagan so beautifully put it, star stuff contemplating the stars. But contemplation alone is not enough. To awaken fully is to take the insights you gain from reflection and apply them in the world to heal, to create, to uplift, to contribute to the evolution of consciousness, not just within yourself, but within the broader human family. And here, perhaps, lies the ultimate paradox of awakening. It can feel isolating because it asks us to look within, yet it connects us more deeply than ever to others. It can be disorienting because it questions old certainties, yet it aligns us with universal truths that transcend time and space. It can be challenging because it demands responsibility, yet it empowers us to act in ways that resonate far beyond our immediate perception. So as we near the end of this journey together, let us take a moment to step back and consider the magnitude of what awakening truly represents. You are, in every sense, a product of cosmic history and a participant in its unfolding future. Your consciousness, your choices, your growth ripple outward in ways both subtle and profound. And while the path may be arduous, the rewards are extraordinary. Clarity, empathy, purpose, connection, and the realization that you are, in essence, an instrument of the universe itself. And so, my invitation to you is simple yet profound. Engage fully. Be present in your awakening, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. Face the challenges, embrace the turbulence, communicate with honesty, connect with others, and act with intention. For in doing so, you honor the universe that birthed you, the consciousness that defines you, and the shared human experience that binds us all. Remember, the stars we see at night are not just points of light. They are stories, histories, and possibilities. And you, composed of the same stardust, are a story in motion, a history unfolding, a possibility realized. So step forward boldly, navigate the shadows and the light, and contribute your unique resonance to the symphony of existence. Because in the end, spiritual awakening is not merely about personal insight. It is about cosmic participation. It is about recognizing that you are a node in the vast network of consciousness, capable of shaping reality in ways both intimate and universal. It is about understanding that while the universe is vast and indifferent, your awareness gives it meaning. Your actions give it purpose. Your awakening gives it resonance. And that, perhaps, is the most profound truth of all. That we, born of stars, navigating the vastness of space and time, carrying within us the spark of consciousness, have the capacity not only to awaken ourselves, but to awaken the universe, one thoughtful, courageous, and meaningful choice at a time. So, as we stand here on this small blue planet spinning in the vast darkness of space, it's worth pausing to consider something remarkable. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a star. You are, quite literally, made of the universe. And yet, despite this cosmic heritage, despite the billions of years of evolution that brought consciousness into being, the universe leaves the final question to you. What will you do with the gift of awareness? Will you drift through life as a passive observer, content with the comfort of certainty? Or will you rise to the challenge, embracing the uncertainty, the turbulence, and the discomfort that come with awakening, knowing that each moment of insight, each act of curiosity, and each choice to connect with another human being is a ripple in the cosmic ocean? Because here's the truth. The universe doesn't demand your attention. It doesn't plead for your understanding, but it does reward it. Every time you seek knowledge, confront your fears, or extend compassion, you participate in a story far bigger than yourself, a story that began billions of years ago in exploding stars, that continues in galaxies spinning silently across the void, and that persists in the choices we make here, now, on Earth. So when you look up at the night sky, remember, you are not a mere spectator. You are a consequence of the cosmos reflecting upon itself. And in that reflection lies responsibility, wonder, and possibility. The universe is vast, it is indifferent, but it is also beautiful beyond comprehension. And the fact that we are here, able to perceive it, to question it, to care for it, and for one another is nothing short of miraculous. So step forward, not with arrogance, but with curiosity. Not with fear, but with courage. And not with isolation, but with connection. Because in the end, awakening is not just about understanding yourself, it's about participating in the story of the cosmos, in the story of life, in the story of humanity. And that, my friends, is a privilege worth embracing.